The lush grounds of Elton John's Windsor estate stretched like a verdant quilt, every corner brimming with blooms. It was a sanctuary, the kind of place where the music icon found solace from the chaos of the world. This morning, his fingers, adorned with glittering rings, delicately worked the soil as he planted a row of lavender in his cherished garden. Gardening was his therapy, a ritual as sacred to him as the notes of your song. But today, the stillness was broken not by the rustle of leaves but by the faint patter of footsteps. Elton straightened, peering toward the wrought-iron gate at the edge of his estate. Two small figures stood hesitantly, silhouetted against the morning sun. Twin girls, no older than 8, with dark curls framing their wide, solemn eyes, watched him through the bars. Their matching blue dresses were frayed, and they clutched each other's hands tightly. Despite their apparent fear, something about their gaze pulled at Elton's heart. Setting down his trowel, Elton rose and brushed the soil from his hands. He approached the gate with cautious steps, his colorful, oversized gardening hat bobbing comically. "Hello there," he said, his voice as warm as the morning light. "What brings you two lovely ladies here?" The girls hesitated before the braver of the two whispered, "We were looking for a safe place." Elton's brow furrowed. Safe place. The phrase echoed in his mind, tugging at long-buried memories of his childhood, the loneliness, the longing for understanding. "You found one," he said gently, his heart already deciding what to do. "Come in. Let's have some tea, shall we?" Inside the sprawling mansion, the twins sat at the polished dining table, their wide eyes darting between Elton and the opulence around them. Tea was served alongside a rainbow of pastries, but the girls picked at their food as though too nervous to eat. Elton tried to make small talk, weaving humor into his words, hoping to put them at ease. Gradually, they opened up. Their names were Layla and Nia, and they had been living in fear under the care of their stepfather, a man who Elton soon realized was as cruel as he was dangerous. "When he gets mad," Layla murmured, her voice trembling, "he yells, and sometimes, he—" Nia clutched her sister's arm tightly, as if trying to silence her. But Elton had heard enough. His grip on the porcelain teacup tightened. "That's no way for a child to live," he said, his voice low but firm. Later that evening, after the girls had fallen asleep in one of the guest rooms, Elton made a series of calls. His longtime partner, David, listened attentively as Elton recounted the day's events. "We have to help them, David. I can't just send them back." David nodded. "Of course we'll help. But we need to be smart about it." The next morning, Elton woke to the sound of laughter, young, carefree laughter, something his home hadn't heard in years. The girls were in the garden, exploring among the flowers. Their faces were radiant, the fear momentarily replaced by wonder. Elton smiled from the window, his heart swelling with determination. He had built a life of music and beauty, but now, he realized, his greatest composition might just be helping these girls find their own harmony. That evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, Elton sat at his grand piano. The girls, curious and still shy, hovered nearby. He played a gentle melody, one that seemed to weave their unspoken pain into something brighter, something hopeful. Layla finally spoke. "It's beautiful. Did you write that?" Elton smiled. "Not yet. But maybe this one's for you." The soft melody of Elton's piano lingered in the air long after he stopped playing, but the warmth it brought to the girls began to fade as reality crept back in. As Elton watched Layla and Nia curl up on the plush sofa, whispering to one another, he knew they couldn't stay hidden in his home forever. Something had to be done. The following morning, Elton met with his closest confidants, David, a child welfare advocate he had supported for years, and his longtime bodyguard, Adam. Together, they hatched a plan. A call for justice. With David's connections, Elton arranged a meeting with social services. Armed with the girls' accounts and visible evidence of their neglect, they managed to secure a promise of an immediate investigation into their stepfather. Elton's fame lent weight to the case, but he knew fame alone wouldn't be enough to ensure the girl's safety. Later that day, Elton sat down with Layla and Nia in the sunlit conservatory. He crouched to their level, his glittering spectacles catching the light. "Sweethearts," he began, his voice tender yet firm, "I need you to be brave. People are going to help you, but you'll need to tell them everything, even if it's scary." Layla nodded, gripping Nia's hand tightly. "Will you be there?" she asked, her voice trembling. Elton placed a reassuring hand on hers. "Always," he promised. The confrontation. That evening, the stepfather arrived at Elton's gates. He was a tall man with a menacing presence, his scowl deepened by the knowledge that his control over the twins was slipping. He had found out where they were and had come to reclaim them. "You've got no right to keep them," he bellowed, pounding on the gates. From the safety of the house, Elton watched the scene unfold on the security monitors. Adam was already outside, standing firm. "I'd like to see you try and get past me," Adam said calmly, his imposing frame like a wall of stone. As tensions rose, Elton stepped out, his vibrant silk robe catching the golden glow of the setting sun. His presence was magnetic, his quiet authority more powerful than the stepfather's rage. "They're not going anywhere with you," Elton said, his voice steady. "The authorities are involved, and there will be consequences for what you've done." The stepfather lunged forward, shouting obscenities, but Adam restrained him with practiced ease. Within minutes, local police, tipped off by David, arrived on the scene and took the man into custody for questioning. Elton exhaled, relieved yet shaken by how close the encounter had come to violence. Rebuilding a life. The following weeks were a whirlwind. Layla and Nia were placed in temporary foster care while the investigation proceeded. Elton stayed involved, ensuring they were placed with a family he personally vetted, a kind-hearted couple who shared his passion for music and had experience with children from challenging backgrounds. During their transition, Elton remained a constant presence in the girls' lives. He visited regularly, bringing along small gifts, books, and even a mini piano to encourage their burgeoning interest in music. One evening, as they gathered around the new piano, Layla played a simple melody she had been practicing. "This is for you, Mr. Elton," she said, her shy smile breaking through her usual reserve. Elton's heart swelled with pride. "You're a natural," he said, ruffling her curls. "Someday, you might write songs that change the world." A grand gesture. Months later, the case against the stepfather reached its conclusion. He was found guilty of abuse and neglect and sentenced to prison, ensuring the twins' safety. On the day the verdict was announced, Elton hosted a celebratory garden party at his estate for the girls, their foster family, and the many people who had helped along the way. Under a sky painted with twilight hues, Elton surprised the girls with an announcement. "I've set up a scholarship fund for you both," he said, his eyes twinkling. "When you're ready for college, or anything else you dream of, it'll be there for you." Layla and Nia ran to hug him, their small arms wrapping tightly around his waist. "Thank you," they whispered, their voices full of gratitude. Elton knelt, meeting their gaze. "You've given me something even more valuable," he said softly. "A reminder that love and kindness can change everything. A new harmony." As the guests mingled under the stars, Elton took a quiet moment to reflect. His life had been filled with sold-out arenas, platinum records, and worldwide acclaim. But as he watched Layla and Nia laugh with their new family, he realized that these small, quiet victories were worth more than all the accolades in the world. The twins' story became a powerful inspiration. Elton shared it in interviews and concerts, urging his fans to look beyond themselves and make a difference in their communities. "There's a little light in all of us," he often said, "and together, we can shine brighter than we ever imagined." In helping Layla and Nia find safety and joy, Elton had rediscovered a truth he'd always known: the greatest songs come from the heart, and the greatest gifts are the ones we give to others. And so, as the music drifted softly through the garden that night, Elton John knew he had composed a melody more enduring than any he'd ever played, a song of hope, love, and second chances.